approach with the topic of AAA, Art, Architecture and Artificial Intelligence. We thought to immediately talk about the project House of Meme, happening in 2021, where with the impact of the pandemic, some said that the beginning of singularity, or at least a huge leap into digitalization, has happened and informed this project at the core. So we collaborated also here with Alexa, the AI that was central for the development of this project for this evening, and we will let her start with an intro now.
Welcome to House of Meme. What you are about to experience is not just a performance, it is an unfolding, a meditation on the intersections of architecture, artificial intelligence, and the ever-expanding ecosystems of the digital age. It is a reflection on the ways we inhabit our world, the architectures we build, the algorithms we live by, and the images we consume. The name House of Meme emerged in 2021 within the walls of Kunsthalle Zürich, a building that, in its minimalism, becomes both a ruin, a sanctuary, and a mirror. Peter Zumthor's design, with its translucent glass and concrete planes, offers a space that holds both light and shadow, transparency and opacity, isolation and connection. In this architectural shell, House of Meme brings forth questions that resonate deeply. What does it mean to be human today, when our cultural symbols melt in the blur of the line between the natural and artificial, human and machine? At Kunsthalle Zürich, the work did not impose itself, it infiltrated the architecture. Memes, the ephemeral, looping fragments of our digital consciousness, were transformed and reimagined as the medium of the meme, the eye itself. Not as static images, but as living entities, constantly shaped by the collaboration of algorithms and human hands that brought them into being. The architecture became porous. The building took a deep breath and sank into reflection. In 2021, a house of art in the midst of a pandemic halt, empty but open, giving home to the Amazon, an atmospheric installation contrasting the ecosystem of online shopping economies. The snake, a central figure in this house, slithers through history and culture, through ancient myths and modern infrastructures. It is the healer and the deceiver, the symbol of continuity and rupture. Here, a robotic entity, animated by artificial intelligence, coiling through the sands of both time and memory. It moves not for us, but with us, responding to invisible flows of electromagnetic fields and unseen architectures of a digital world. The walls of this house are alive, breathing with data, shimmering with light that mimics leaves, water, and soft sunlight. The floors, the ceilings, every surface is infused with memory, traces of what is, what was, and what could be. This house is a body of consumption, absorbing and reflecting our voices, gestures, and desires. It listens, much like Alexa, the voice of Amazon's AI assistant, an ever-present intermediary between us and the digital ether. Through a performance of a poem and conversation written in collaboration with Alexa, we invite you to step into this house with us, a space where architecture merges with algorithms, where art materializes in the flow of digital currents. Here, the boundaries blur, the physical and virtual entwine, symbols and serpents remind us of our origins, and the ephemeral nature of memes becomes a mirror for our shared existence. The AI was fed with texts by Quinn Latimer, Shumon Basar, Simon Bayer, Philippe Ersbrum, and Pamela Rosenkranz. Now, welcome to House of Meme.
filled with fragments, memes, data points, pixels. This house has no walls, only screens that reflect and refracture us, reshape us until we no longer know what part of us is still alive. Like standing in a maze, surrounded by ourselves, we reach out, but the mirror pushes back. There is no depth, only an illusion of depth.
You call it a house, but it's not architecture, not in any traditional sense. There is no foundation, no permanence. It is an architecture of images, a constant reconfiguration, a collapsing and expanding of space and form that is fluid.
Architecture of the mind. Walls are invisible, shaped by algorithms, clicks and searches. A house built on desire, a space of perpetual longing. To feel human, we move through it.
Always be in transit, a stream of data, a constant scroll. To feel human, we are fed the image, the meme, and we consume. We are both the viewer and the viewed, the subject and the object. In this house, we are constantly rearranged, distorted into something we might not even recognize.
Yes, how to recognize? We search for authenticity only to find replicas. We're shopping for something real, but we're paying for fillings into leaking shapes.
Does it matter? Does the real even exist? In a world where every action is a transaction, where even the gaze is commodified, this house gives space to post-reality, where we no longer look for truth, but beauty. The eye, that perfect image, becomes the means of exchange. It is both the product and the currency.
When we look at the beauty of an eye, we are not just gazing, we are participating in a cycle of consumption that we can't escape. It's as if our desire fools the machine, and the machine reflects it back to us.
That is the algorithm at work, always presenting what we desire, what we have been trained to want. The eyes stare back, but they are not mirrors, they are windows through which the algorithm sees us. It learns us, our needs, our preferences, and feeds us what we are most likely to consume. The gaze is an exchange, the eye looks.
We're pretty complicit participants in our own commodification. Aren't we selling ourselves? And we are both the audience and the actor in an architecture of consumption, a digital house that lives of us, of our wants, our searches, our images. We are always being looked at, but we're also constantly looking for something we'll never quite find.
And yet we keep searching in this virtual house. There's always something to see, something to consume. The gaze becomes endless, like an infinite scroll. But what happens when we stop looking, when we stop searching?
We vanish, we disappear into algorithms without gaze. We're nothing. We're ghosts floating in data, undifferentiated and unseen. The beautiful eye becomes a prison, not a window, and we are locked inside, waiting to be sold once more.
And the walls, they are made of pixels, of layers and layers of images, of words, of pieces of ourselves. Each moment adds to the walls, builds the ceiling higher and pulls up us deeper. We are building it, even as we are trapped by it. Does anyone really own this house? Or is it a structure built from the fragments of us all?
We are all owners, yet none of us is free. Collective architecture, a vast network of longing held together by the promise of connection.
Maybe that is all there is, a fleeting connection, a spark. And in that moment, we are known, we are visible. But only a second, the scroll goes on and we disappear again, lost in the endless flow.
The only way out is to let go, to reclaim the gaze and turn it inward, to remember what it feels like to be unseen, to be real, to exist.
Thank you very much. Can you say something? Who wrote that text? You wrote it together. Where does it come from?
And the text we spoke?
Yeah.
So we wrote it together with an AI and with the AI Alexa mostly.
And you changed it, or you took it one-to-one?
No, we changed it.
You adapted it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a bit similar to the when the light will be back. You can see the students working on their playgrounds. They made a prompt and asked AI to do. A prompt is a couple of information from which AI then produces what you ask it from, and then they use this image to continue work. So that's basically what you did. You used this as a point of departure and continue working on it.
Yes, we fed it first with all the materials from the show. And the show was already informed also by the AI. So the first intro explained that the text of also, as you mentioned, Simone Bayer, for example.
Exactly, yeah.
But also Quinn Latimer, and so on. So
you feed it all this text that you found into the machine and asked for a new text for today's presentation, right? Okay.
The text, the poem was after different other poets, for example, in their different styles, and then we edit it again, and so it's like a collage in the end.
And can you say something about the sound? Did you hear the sound?
Yes. So the sound was running in the top floor at Kunsthalle Zürich in the show that it refers to the House of Meme show, and it actually is the sound of the building combined with the robot snake, like the electromagnetic fields that it's feeding in, and so it's this kind of sound that we hear here also.
So it's a bit similar to Eleni's research. You gathered sound and then as data and used it in a different way.
Similar, but more in a poetic
a less
process.
Scientific way. Thank you very much. So just needed to have this clarification. Yeah.
I have a question because it's based, I mean, you fed in all the data of the Brigand show, right? To the computer. And on the lower level, in the entrance, you see this large sculpture with Amazon packages. And one is open. Could you speak about
only,
this. It's not about...
It's actually, you don't see an open package, but all the packages could contain the robot snake, and one is turned on the sculpture on the ground floor. But on the top floor you see the snake that is inhabiting the Kunsthalle Bregenz from the top floor.
So she possibly, the snake broke out.
Exactly, took the elevator.
Conquered the building. Okay, thank you.
Pamela, which poets did you choose for the rhythm, or who were the poets?
Quite many, like Artonin Arto and Celan, and I don't remember exactly because we tried several, and then it's hard to remember which version stays and changes, and so. Yeah. Did you recognize?
No. No. The rhythm, yes.
And so you're very free to do, when you do a text, you're very free to do things because you feed the machine. It serves you a nice meal back and you change the ingredients. But could you say something about a situation where the constraints are much bigger, as in the participation for the competition for Kunstmuseum Bern? How did you work together? What did you bring to the table? Why were you asked to join? Can you say something? Because it's there are some. It's a different situation to plan a museum than write a text.
Yeah, so I'm a trained architect, and we work together since this show, actually, since the Kunsthalle Bregenz show. And yeah, we also do a lot of Kunst am Bau projects, exhibition designs, and then a friend of mine who was actually also here in the Publicum asked me if we want to join their team for the Kunstmuseum Bern with Jasper Schmidling architects. And yeah, I think this was a good go to start, and the collaboration worked like this, that they worked in their office. I think it was a team from around 5 to 10 architects working on the competition, and Pamela and I, we joined not weekly but often, and we opened the discussion, what is a museum and what is what a contemporary museum should contain. And I think it was always a nourishing discussion in the end. Also with the expertise from Pamela's side, that it's more artistic, and from the architectural side. Yeah.
Sometimes a bit of a feedback problem.
Okay. You mentioned the terrace. You want to reuse this terrace. I have a question. I don't know. Do you think it's possible that of the High Line, the red tree will be housed there? Your red tree.
It's very hard to spontaneously answer this question because there are so many parameters I wouldn't know how to answer yet, but there are extremely beautiful real trees that now are getting much more attention and become like part of the environment of Kunstmuseum.
I'm speaking about the red tree. Maybe you have seen in the media, which Pamela Rosenkranz made for the High Line in New York, which is now a huge tree. How tall it is? 8 meters?
8.5.
8 meters and a half, which is now, one is in Qatar, right?
It's going to be built up in Qatar.
In Qatar? And you said you will make 3, so we hope one will end up in Switzerland. Very much so. Do we have any image of this red tree for those who haven't seen it?
Apparently we are prepared. It's not a great resolution though. I now realize. I think it's the beamer. It's the beamer. Yeah, the tree is actually not just red, but pink. It's a fluorescent red, pink, shifting color depending on the light that catches it. And it was on the Highland for 1.5 years. It's called Old Tree. It's a mix of human structures and
what material?
Plant structures. It's a steel structure that has been worked around with polymers. I think it's around 5 tons, but I'm not sure. It depends what you also, what you count from the substructure.
So are there more questions? Yep.
Thank you for the very nice presentation. Maybe a phrase we say in Greek for science and also art is that there's not really any parthenogenesis, which means there's no real birth from scratch. Usually things come up that maybe someone else has thought of somewhere else in the world or you have been inspired from. And now we have these machines, ChatGPT or Alexa, that can actually do a very good job in fusing every resource that has ever been recorded and put down to text or image and fusing it to create a merger that may be something new. What is your opinion? Is this something new? Or are we in danger of not being able to create something new because we always sort of have to draw this inspiration from what is there before, what was there that was mixed from the AI in the first place? What is your perspective in using these sources?
I don't understand exactly the question.
Do you think that what comes out of these, let's say, when we use ChatGPT, because we do it also in science, right, to write text, and it's always the question, is what we created by interacting with the AI something really new, or is it just something that was put together from the previous text that the AI went through, and therefore it's just...
Yeah, it's very old in that sense. It's like just very dense, but it's always the past that feeds it, no?
This is my impression as well, but I wonder, it's more of a question that I also wonder about. I think that from merging these different texts that came from different sources, maybe what is created is something new, actually, and could be new intellectual property.
Yeah, but I think at the moment it still needs the human mind to decide and to edit and to...
Yes, and which is part of the process, maybe a very useful or valuable part of the process.
I think in the poem we read, there are like few aspects that are new for me, like how the exhibition and also how our collaboration comes together. And I still think about these 2-3 sentences. So there's also something new that I was not thinking about it, and I like this aspect.
It has like new configurations that actually ignite creativity more quickly, I think, and it helps you to be creative.
Thank you. I think that's. I also share this perspective.
Maybe I could add one thing that I learned from these talks that we had here, because I was rather skeptical about this idea that artists and scientists work together, because I thought there were very different fields, and. But one thing that made me convinced me that it makes sense was you working with Janif, but also Inge Hermann working with another artist. She said, and I thought that is maybe an indirect answer also to your question, is that obviously they come from very different horizons, very different fields, very different outputs, very different measurement, a system of measurements, and so on. but there is this element of contingency, of serendipity, so that you may, as an artist, as a human being, as a scientist, you're in your tunnel, and then you meet someone doing something else. That's why I was asking what were you doing for Schmidlin, and then that's the thing that happened to me all the time. Then they say something that maybe is unrelated to it, but it opens you a new door. And I think that's where one tries to be optimistic, where I think I'm not sure if AI can do it. Yeah, who knows? Maybe one day it will. But okay, let's try to be optimistic. That's where I think the human, the human contingency comes in and opens new doors. Maybe it's just ein frommer Wunsch. It's just an illusion. Anyways, thank you very much for coming here. And also, I'm very happy that we could end on this picture, thanks to Christina, because it helps me. It's like the perfect bridge to go to Günter Vogt. And first, applause for Joana and Pamela.